A soliloquy from Macbeth, Act 1, Scene 7. If it were done when 'tis done, then 'twere well it were done quickly. If the assassination could trammel up the consequence, and catch with his surcease success, that but this blow might be the be-all and end-all here. But here, upon this bank and shoal of time, we'd jump the life to come. But in these cases we still have judgment here, that we but teach bloody instruction, which being taught, return to plague the inventor. This even-handed justice commends the ingredients of our poison chalice to our own lips. He's here in double trust. First, as I am his kinsman and his subject, strong both against the deed, then as his host, who should against his murder shut the door, not bear the knife myself. Besides, this Duncan hath borne his faculty so meek, hath been so clear in his great office, that his virtues will plead like angels trumpet-tongued against the deep damnation of his taking off, and pity like a naked newborn babe striding the blast, or heaven's cherubim, horsed upon the sightless couriers of the air, shall blow the horrid deed in every eye, that tears shall drown the wind. I have no spur to prick the sides of my intent, only vaulting ambition, which o'erleaps itself, falls upon the other.
Blow, blow, thou winter wind, thou art not so unkind as man's ingratitude. Thy tooth is not so keen, because thou art not seen, although thy breath be rude. Then, hey-ho, sing hey-ho, unto the green holly. Most friendship is feigning, most loving mere folly. Then hey-ho, the holly, this life is most jolly. Freeze, freeze, thou bitter sky, that does not bite so nigh as benefits forgot. Though thou the waters warp, thy sting is not so sharp as friend remembered not. Then, hey-ho, sing hey-ho, unto the green holly. Most friendship is feigning, most loving mere folly. Then hey-ho, the holly, this life is most jolly.
Hello! Here's some Shakespeare for all of my fellow groundlings out there. You know who you are. When a man's servant shall play the cur with him, look you, it goes hard. One that I brought up of a puppy. One that I saved from drowning, even when 3 or 4 of his blind brothers and sisters went to it. I have taught him, even as one should say, precisely, thus I would teach a dog. I was sent to deliver him, as a present to Mistress Sylvia from my master. And I came no sooner to the dining chamber than he steps me to her trencher and steals her capon's leg. Oh, 'tis a foul thing when a cur cannot keep himself in all companies. I would have, as one should say, one that takes upon him to be a dog indeed, to be, as it were, a dog at all things. If I had not had more wit than he, to take a fault upon me that he did, I think, verily, he had been hanged for it. Sure as I live, he had suffered for it. You shall judge. He thrusts me, himself, into the company of 3 or 4 gentlemanlike dogs under the Duke's table. He had not been there, bless the mark, a pissing while, but all the chamber smelt him. "Out with the dog," says one. "What cur is that?" says another. "Whip him out," says a third. "Hang him up," says the Duke. I, having been acquainted with the smell before, knew it was crab, and goes me to the fellow that whips the dogs. "Friend," quoth I, "you mean to whip the dog?" "Ay, marry, do I," quoth he. "You do him the more wrong," quoth I. "'Twas I did the thing you wot of." He makes me no more ado, but whips me out of the chamber. How many masters would do this for his servant? Nay, I'll be sworn, I have sat in the stocks for puddings he hath stolen. Otherwise he had been executed. I have stood on the pillory for geese he hath killed. Otherwise he had suffered for it. Thou thinkest not of this now. Nay, I remember the trick you served me when I took my leave of Madam Sylvia. Did I not bid thee still mark me and do as I do? When didst thou see me heave up my leg and make water against a gentlewoman's farthingale? Didst thou ever see me do such a trick?
Not marble, nor the gilded monuments of princes shall outlive this powerful rhyme. But you shall shine more bright in these contents than unswept stone besmeared with sluttish time. When wasteful wars shall statues overturn, and broils root out the work of masonry. Nor Mars his sword, nor war's quick fires shall burn the living record of your memory. 'Gainst death and all oblivious enmity shall you pace forth. Your praise shall still find room even in the eyes of all posterity that wear the world out to the ending doom. So till that judgment that yourself arise, you live in this and dwell in lovers' eyes.
Double, double, toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble. Fillet a finny snake, in the cauldron boil and bake. Eye of newt and toe of frog, wool of bat and tongue of dog. This one has a little star. This one has a little car. Say, what a lot of fish there are. Yes, some are old and some are new, and some are...
Hey, that's not in the script.
Directors. Scale of dragon, tooth of wolf, witch's mummy, maw and gulf. Just a pinch of dinosaur spleen, topped off with a lizard James Dean.
That's it. That's enough of that.
By the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes.
When I consider everything that grows holds in perfection but a little moment, that this huge stage presenteth not but shows whereon the stars in secret influence comment, when I perceive that men as plants increase, cheered and checked, even by the self-same sky, vaunt in their youthful sap, at height decrease, and wear their brave state out of memory, then the conceit of this inconstant stay sets you most rich in youth before my sight, where wasteful time debateth with decay, to change your day of youth to sullied night, and all in war with time for love of you. As he takes from you, I engraft you new. Shakespearean Sonnet 15.
To do Song of the Witches, which is my favorite, so long as my cats don't interrupt me again. Double, double toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble. Fillet of a finny snake in the cauldron boil and bake. Eye of newt and toe of frog, wool of bat and tongue of dog. Adder's fork and blindworm's sting, lizard's legs and a howlet's wing. For a charm of powerful trouble, like a hell broth boil and bubble. Double, double toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble. Cool it with a baboon's blood, then the charm is firm and good.
How happy some or other some can be. Through Athens I am thought as fair as she. But what of that? Demetrius thinks not so. He will not know what all but he do know, and as he errs, doting on Hermia's eyes, so I, admiring of his qualities, things base and vile, holding no quantity. Love can transpose to form and dignity. Love looks not with the eyes, but with the mind, and therefore is winged Cupid painted blind. Nor hath love's mind of any judgment taste, wings and no eyes figure unheedy haste. And therefore is love said to be a child, because in choice he so oft beguiled. As waggish boys in game themselves forswear, so the boy love is perjured everywhere. For ere Demetrius looked on Hermia's eyne, he hailed down oaths that he was only mine. And when this hail some heat from Hermia felt, so he dissolved, and showers of oath did melt. I will go tell him of fair Hermia's flight, and then to the wood will he tomorrow night pursue her, and for this intelligence, if I have thanks, it is a dear expense, for herein when I to enrich my pain, to have his sight thither and back again.
There, my blessing with thee, and these few precepts in thy memory look thou character. Give thy thoughts no tongue, nor any unproportioned thought his act. Be thou familiar, but by no means vulgar. Those friends thou hast, and their adoption tried, grapple them unto thy soul with hoops of steel, but do not dull thy palm with entertainment of each new-hatched, unfledged comrade. Beware of entrance to a quarrel, but, being in, bear it that the opposed may beware of thee. Give every man thy ear, but few thy voice. Take each man's censure, but reserve thy judgment. Costly thy habit as thy purse can buy, but not expressed in fancy, but rich, not gaudy. For the apparel oft proclaims the man, and they in France of the best rank and station are of a most select and generous chief in that. Neither a borrower nor a lender be, for loan oft loses both itself and friend, and borrowing dulls the edge of husbandry. This, above all, to thine own self be true, and it must follow, as night the day, thou canst not then be false to any man. Farewell. My blessing season this in thee. Yet here, Laertes, aboard for shame! The wind sits in the shoulder of your sail, and you are stayed for.
Richard III. More than I have said, loving countrymen, the leisure and enforcement of the time forbids to dwell upon. Yet remember this, God and our good cause fight upon our side. The prayers of holy saints and wronged souls, like high-reared bulwarks, stand before our faces. Richard except, those whom we fight against had rather have us win than him they follow. For what is he they follow? Truly, gentlemen, a bloody tyrant and a homicide, one raised in blood and one in blood established, one that made means to come by what he hath, and slaughtered those that were the means to help him. A base, foul stone made precious by the foil of England's chair where he is falsely set, one that hath ever been God's enemy. Then, if you fight against God's enemy, God will in justice ward you as his soldiers. If you do sweat to put a tyrant down, you sleep in peace, the tyrant being slain. If you do fight against your country's foes, your country's fat shall pay your pains the higher. If you do fight in safeguard of your wives shall welcome home the conquerors. If you do free your children from the sword, your children's children quit it in your age. Then, in the name of God and all these rights, advance your standards, draw your willing swords. For me, the ransom of my bold attempt shall be this cold corpse on the earth's cold face. But if I thrive, the gain of my attempt, the least of you shall share his part thereof. Sound drums and trumpets boldly and cheerfully. God and St. George, Richmond and victory.
You would play upon me. You would seem to know my stops. You would pluck out the heart of my mystery. You would sound me from my lowest note to the top of my compass. And there is much music, excellent voice in this little organ. Yet cannot you make it speak? So blood do you think I am? Easier to be played on than a pipe? Call me what instrument you will, though you can fret me, yet you cannot play upon me.
When in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate, wishing me like to one more rich in hope, featured like him with friends possessed, desiring this man's art and that man's scope, with what I most enjoy contented least. Haply, I think on thee, and then my state, like to the lark at break of day arising from sullen earth, sings hymns at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembered such wealth brings that then I scorn to change my state with kings.
Stay, dog, for thou shalt hear me. If heaven have any grievous plague in store, exceeding those that I can wish upon thee, oh, let them keep it till thy sins be ripe, and then hurl down their indignation on thee, the troubler of the poor world's peace. The worm of conscience still begnaw thy soul. Thy friends suspect for traitors while thou liv'st, and take deep traitors for thy dearest friends. No sleep close up that deadly eye of thine, unless it be while some tormenting dream affrights thee with the hell of ugly devils.